creating a comfortable space for people to come together, kick it, but also lean into the luxury of it. Like not all consumption has to be outside in the parking lot.
Price compression that's affecting both the wholesale market and the retail market is, I think, where we're seeing the ebbs and flows of companies leaving, companies joining.
Minutes before showtime, the venue bailed. A bylaw from 1996 put the host's liquor license on the line. The community rallied, and the party rolled on. I'm Jason Raposa. After 25 years in tech and cannabis, I host High Functioning to show what actually works. Today's guests are Jordan and Mike Whittaker, the duo behind the Whittaker Group. They run marketing for New Dia, from Not Finna Skate to a rotating art wall that puts local artists on stage. They throw the infamous and mysterious This Party and That Party, which are a part art show, part brand lab, and all community. They also launched Moroccan Days, bringing textiles and handcrafted smokeless ashtrays to dispensaries so stores feel like culture, not just retail. We get into creative pivots, what the CCC should change, and turning events into demand. This is how culture moves product. Let's dive in.
I'm Jordan Mackenzie Whittaker, and I am the CEO and co-founder of the Whittaker Group. I do a lot of things with a lot of cool people, and it often depends on the day, the location, the vibes. But our team at the Whittaker Group, we specialize in business development, specifically in the cannabis industry. And we specialize with 6 strategic pillars that all come with their own
Little gotchas.
That's right. Licensing and compliance, navigating there, building operations, human resources, training and impact, so building teams, branding and marketing, so launching those brands, and compliance is all throughout, of course, in no particular order, and events and marketing. So all of that rolled up into one.
Fantastic. And you're the CEO.
I am.
And who's this gentleman here then?
I am the COO.
All right.
Jordan covered the majority of what the Whittaker Group does. But I mean, we've been blessed to kind of approach the industry in a way that we're adapting with it and the business is adapted with it. So we're very much part of what does the client need? How can we help? If it's not us, who in our network can. But for the most part, we try to learn from each experience and build it back into the business.
Yeah, very cool. So there's a lot to cover there. And this is actually one of those situations where I'm like, I had no idea you guys did all that stuff. Because, there's a lot of people who claim oh, I'm a cannabis consultant because I worked at a dispensary for 3 years and now I can tell people how to get their license and stuff that, right? That's typical. I could be a cannabis consultant. Just
most people can.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So because, manufacturing or whatever you want to say. But when you listen to all those things, and we'll get to some of those, definitely. I don't think we can cover all of them in a short time.
It's a long story.
Yeah, exactly. So what I was going to get to is I think most people know you for the question mark arty, the questionable party or whatever it's called.
I like that.
I don't know. What is that like? What is it? How do you pronounce it?
That's party.
It's just party.
The question mark
but it
is
makes
the
you
P.
think, right? So the question mark is the P, and it's whatever you can imagine it could be. But party is one of our off brands that came from inspiration. So this party was one of our first social consumption events that the Whittaker Group produced as our own, not with anyone else specifically, that we were hooking up with or working directly with. And so question mark party, what did you say? The questionable
party.
Questionable arty.
The questionable arty. Yeah.
Is just that. It's a mysterious in its own, but we started producing that back in 2023, right?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
First event was this party, and the whole concept was building with all of the brands that we had worked with in that wish list of what happens when you bring a bunch of people together and you start thinking outside the box of one, staying compliant, but also navigating what does it look like when you start putting the brand and the products in front of the consumers and inviting outside of the industry people to engage and experience.
I think that's so lacking in this industry because everybody's just, you go to a conference, and I've definitely said this before, and I don't mean to knock conferences or parties, but if you see the same people over and over again, you're like, hey, I've seen you before and I've seen you at every single event. Cool to see you again. and then I'll just peace out. I'd be like, hey, I'm just gonna like try to like get business or something like that. That's why I'm here, right? And not everybody's there obviously for business. Some people are like off the clock in a sense, and they'll just go to like have fun too, totally. And not half, the majority of industry people are also consumers, right? So you're kind of also kind of reaching that thing. But take me back a little bit. And so, because there's a lot of topics to cover here, and I do feel like that is part of it because it's an off brand, but you started as like kind of like consulting group.
Yes.
But what gives you the authority to be a consultant?
Definitely.
A long time ago.
So in 2013, I left my position in law enforcement, where I was a police cadet. I have a master's degree in criminal justice. Everything was be a cop, be a cop, be a cop. And I absolutely hated it. I always consumed, I always did my thing. It was one of those like in the shadows type deal. So I finally made the decision to leave that industry and look at the cannabis industry and go full force into it. Of course, with the law and compliance background, like I focused more so on the compliance aspect of it, as well as the security. So a lot of like the approach to it was, how do I use this knowledge in the way that I can place myself within this or join this community.
So were you doing like security audits and stuff like that?
Not to that extent. I joined, I didn't join. I went to a course at New England Grassroots Institute, which was a school that did like an 8-week course. Everything from
2014.
2014 so it was
Quincy Center.
How to grow, laws, science, like the ins and outs of everything from like the history to how to grow it, how to extract
techniques.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
through
a
that,
pulse on where the law was, right? Because there was a lot that right then there were states that were both decriminalizing but focusing big on the medical industry.
Yeah, medical was huge back then.
Yeah.
Massachusetts had a medical program by then.
Right. So that program was focused a lot on advocacy, patient advocacy, and just like understanding how we move towards an initiative where we could recreationalize or move into a direction of adult use in the state.
So do you think we've kind of like lost something going into adult use from that initial?
Definitely.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much patient focused at that time. And I mean, because of the hub of what the school was, a lot of the people that were taking the courses were medical patients that needed to understand the plant and figure out how it would work best for them. To the point that we were making our SOP in Maine and working with a lot of cancer patients and trying to not play doctor, but essentially that's what it became because nobody else was willing to do it. And through that, it allowed to just learn, and everyone was learning from each other. And the school kind of became that hub for a community within the community somewhat. And I was lucky enough to become the law instructor, which allowed me to kind of network into other communities as well, because at that point we started touring and going to conventions and speaking at conventions and those type of
First
things.
NECAN in Boston.
Oh, wow.
The castle.
You guys were there?
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but
I had Mark on once. He told me about the story, how it like snowed.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first times that we saw a big smoke out that wasn't in a back parking lot.
Right.
It wasn't, but
and
that
still
was
happens to this day. In a sense,
it's nice.
because
Yeah.
you go outside the Heinz at a certain door, to go through, and you're just like, you're in the clouds,
Yeah.
right?
But there's people to meet, like that's it. Back then it was some of the biggest movers and shakers that have, really made waves in the industry that we've been learning from. Were active. It was like the first time that we were meeting some of the owners and operators that we still support today or, partner with today. So when we say, like, where do you get this badge of honor of consulting? It's like, we've learned and we're still learning and we're committed to that. Right. So part of the inspiration was like everything that we learned, other people needed to know that, like there were thought leaders that were coming from different sides of the country, people that had been longtime legacy growers in Maine, like fields and fields.
There's regulations now that you have
and
to
generations. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. And these caretakers and folks that were really taking a lot of risk to bring the plant to their communities. That we ended up, being in the same room, and we were encouraged to just keep showing up. And that really ebbed and flowed through the years, and different opportunities presented. But that consulting piece, really, that's where it was.
Because of that community, it was a lot of folks that wanted to get into the industry as well. So it was writing applications or helping folks write applications and looking at SOPs and kind of creating that side of it.
Dude, I remember when I first got into this journey. So around 2019 or so, I started looking into it a little bit. In 2020, I took it more seriously because I got laid off. And when I started looking into it, I was like, SOPs? What do you mean? And like, I went into the application. I'm just like, what does all this stuff even mean? Right. So I totally get the role of a consultant in that perspective. But there are some consultants out there that I do take issue with sometimes because they're just like, they've been in the industry for a little bit and they're happy to take your money and they're happy to, get you through the application process, but they're happy to take a lot of your money. So there are some of those greedy people out there that will just be like, hey, give me $30,000, I'll give you my SOPs. And it's like, what do you mean? SOPs? Yeah. Well, fortunately, we've got AI now. We can probably generate most of the SOPs. And
we certainly can. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like one of the situations, but you still have to have a human read it to make sure you understand your SOPs and stuff like that. But it is a requirement to get your license here. And I remember back then, people quoted me outrageous numbers like, hey, we had a whole suite of SOPs, it only cost you like $7,000. And I'm like, that's the best price I got. So maybe I'll go for it. And then I founded this, Vicente had a platform called Simplify. I'm not sure if it still exists or not. It must still exist in some function. I think Vicente kind of like side kind of like projects. And I remember the reason why I signed up for them was because it would cost me $750 for the SOPs. That's literally why, because I was like, I'm not sitting here running all these things. It was like 50 documents they provided you.
Right.
All this other stuff. So the application process in itself, definitely there's education to it. And it's a steep learning curve.
Definitely.
Certainly
and
is.
I've always looked at SOPs as twofold. There's the ones you need to get through the compliance check, and then there's the ones that actually run your facility.
Right. There's two separate runs.
Exactly. Yeah. So for us, it's always been, all right, you need these. These are the cut and paste that we've used for all these other clients. Take it. And then
I would argue that lightly.
To an extent, I mean,
I would
for
argue
the
that
most part,
is that we take an approach with all the clients to make sure it's like, boom, here, I'll just drop you my drive file. It's not so much that. It's really taking it's making sure that you're adhering to the regulations that are put in place and acknowledging them. And there's a lot of it, right? And whatever facility that you're running,
absolutely,
your stakeholders that you're, making sure that all the T's are all of that.
So, but here's the thing though. Yeah. And I get that though, because like one of the hacks that I found out originally, and there's two hacks actually I'll share with the audience right now. And if you guys don't agree with it, totally you can be like, cause we're like, the CCC's watching, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
hey.
I've had
yeah. Hello.
My inspector, nice to see you again.
Yes.
Respect. But there's two hacks that I initially employed when I went through my application process. One was that like all the documents are public. So I just went into Google and using my old tech head, I was just like, oh, if I just do site:/masscannabiscontrol.com, SOPs or whatever, like a bunch of stuff would pour out.
I'll show you exemplary, right? Like that, what they want to see and what's going to move you faster.
And there's some things that I was like, I like that. I'll take that. I don't like this. I'm going to skip that part. And
what works for you.
I kind of copied and pasted my way to like a really clean application, but it was because of I could actually learn from previous applicants who have successfully gone through the process.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that said, the second hack I did, which is what I encourage people to do, is especially for first timers and maybe don't have the money to hire a consulting group or anything like that, is I would upload blank pages just to get to the next step. So what you do is, as you're going through the process, you fill in like, oh, my name, my social security number, whatever it is. You can hit the next button, and then it's like, okay, upload your DOR certificate of compliance with the state or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so there's like three of those. DOR, there's the employment one, whatever, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't have those yet. I'm going to upload a blank PDF
folder
and then just skip the next. Because I just wanted to know what the next question was. I didn't
exactly.
Right.
And so I would just upload these blank files, knowing in the back of my head, I'm like, I got to just go back and replace them when I get it.
Right.
And so those are the ones I share with people immediately. Like, just go search on Google for all the documents, even like, your diversity plans, plan of positive impact, things like that. Like those exist everywhere. And if you like certain aspects of what they're doing to, for their diversity, then copy that. If you want to do 50% women and 30%,
Yeah.
all this
However,
other stuff.
I would say that piece is something that needs to be much more intentional. I'm like, let me stand on that box, right? Like, is making sure that, yes, there's a structure or a template and
That's
it's
what I'm saying, you
thought-provoking.
Parts that you're like, I agree with
Totally.
that part.
Yeah, and how do you directly impact the people that like your community, your circle, then your expansion of that? But you're right. There's so much out there that's already, and there's a lot of great resources that exist. It's navigating through all of it that we're here to, I mean, most of, our biggest flex is that we've gone through a lot and we have a lot of great experience. But as much as like the things of here's what we would suggest, or here's how we're going to do it together, there's a bigger list of here's how we avoid all of those pitfalls.
Yeah.
Because we've been through it.
100%. Would you, if there was one thing you would immediately change for the CCC application process, what would it be? They're listening.
Hello. Hello.
I mean, I think it's adapted over the years. And I mean, we've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of equity applicants and to see the difference between working with an equity applicant versus non in the streamlining process. I think the efficiency there is definitely on par of where it needs to be. In the beginning, it necessarily wasn't. But I think as the CCC has learned and adapted and continued to grow, they've been able to kind of take on those steps that are needed. And it's been a while since we've worked with a non-equity applicant. So on that side of the table, I'm not sure if that's still the same.
Has it fallen off for equity applicants?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, yes, in ways of like the...
Well, you're saying that you haven't worked with non-equity applicants in a while, right? So I'm just curious about the equity
in terms of the licensing process.
The licensing process.
Right? Of who's navigating. It's been over a year.
What do you think the root cause of that is?
Resources, capital, resources to real estate, and just the ebbs and flows and the woes of what people are reading into, right? The mess of or the perception of a mess with the market. I say that lightly and steps back as someone who doesn't have a license, but works very closely with the licensees and the evolving of that. But I would say your question about what would we change, I think there would be more consistency of holding the regulations. And I'm thinking more about, let me slow myself down. Yeah, I'm being mindful of.
Yeah. Can't call it anything.
Right.
If you don't want
Right. There's folks that are working for the agency that are upholding the law and the regulations. And sometimes they get to a facility and it's their perception of what they learned in their 10 o'clock meeting when they show up at 11 and they're like, actually, you need this machine to scan
It's
that.
the enforcement.
And why aren't you doing it this way? Because the spot I went to yesterday did it that way. So you're not doing it correctly, when there's much more to consider with all of the different, elements that go into the license type, the individuals that are, the space, location, all of the investments that they've already built, and not everything is cookie cutter.
Yeah. And
so there's a challenge there. And I feel for the individuals that have to hold up and navigate all through that, because there is a lot.
Standard that their inspectors are looking at that isn't maybe in the regulations even. They're just like, it should be done like this. And it's more an opinion, more above the regulations themselves.
Definitely. And I think something that we've been able to kind of see by working with so many applicants is how different each inspector interprets certain things around the applications, around the law. And each community is also different. And I mean, like city of Boston versus some of these smaller towns.
BCB, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Boston,
there's layers of,
Yeah. And there's layers if you try to go to the city sometimes.
Exactly.
And we're also dealing with people who maybe aren't the most educated on the plant and on the, how, because, you have to think about it, in certain ways. The message, referring back to the best part, is constantly being highlighted in the media.
Mm-hmm.
And media, I've spoken to media about this, and they've got a directive that basically says, we're not allowed to write anything positive about the CCC right now, or about cannabis in Massachusetts in general. And it's just like, but because
that's a major barrier. That creates such a on the back end, right? Like,
there's a friend of mine sent me an article this morning. He's like, I think the title was Boston Globe. It said it was something like, it was by Kevin Cullen. who I just friend requested to connect him with LinkedIn because I just like to be connected with reporters.
Definitely.
Because I'm a resource, of course, they can use.
Yeah.
But it was like, what is the CCC smoking? Basically. And it was a picture of like somebody rolling up a joint.
It's a good question.
Exactly.
It's a good question. What's their fave? What's happening over there? Yeah.
Exactly. And I think on a new podcast by the STEM team, I can't remember the podcast name. Commissioner Roy was just on it.
Yes.
And they were asking her questions like, all these like strain names, just like that. So kind of a fun podcast there. So shout out to the team over at STEM.
Caroline,
Cecily. And but the mess that's being kind of stirred up is also amplified in the media, and then all of a sudden it's just like missing. So my friends are saying like, even some of like my angel investors who might have put like $5,000, $10,000 into the companies because I wanted kind of like, a whole group of people to be like really proud of something to do that we were doing. And they're like sending me things like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, forwarding those articles. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. It's like, you can imagine like, my parents being like, hey, what's going on over there? You guys going to be okay? And I'm like, everything's fine.
Right.
It's just getting blown out of proportion.
It's what's being highlighted. And I think that's dangerous because it's what the lens and the perception, right?
Yeah.
Of how it's being perceived. But also there's so much good things to come. And there's a lot of great progress.
Juicy news.
It is juicy. It is so juicy.
So, but that's why I guess going back to the equity side or even non-equity side, like the licensing, as far as what I've seen on agendas, back when I first started, there would be like 40 new licenses, final applications, approved. And then you get the commence after that. But now I see like 3 or 2. Yeah, I think there was 1 month there was none or something like that in the final stage, right?
Yeah.
So all the licenses, like we're still growing, I would say, as far as licenses. It's hard to say because some, people fall off. And I just heard Orange Cannabis Company just battled back and now has their license back or just reopened or something like that.
Did they buy it back?
I don't know.
Or did they never sell it?
I don't know if they sold it. I think they went under.
The retail.
Sarah Retail. But speaking of a success story, well, at least I think a success story. Shout out to Kristen Rogers, Levia.
Yes.
She just got her company back.
Huge.
I was like, all right. A little bit of applause there.
Redemption song.
I know, right?
Powerhouse.
I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't want to probe
and maybe, you got to bring her on and hear the story.
I definitely should.
Yeah.
But I do like, so there are positive stories out there. Be like, okay, we're doing this and small businesses help, trying to succeed in here.
Mm-hmm.
But the application process and even just through the whole process, like, I don't know if we're at a net positive or a negative right now.
I'm not paying close attention to the pie charts. I'll keep it real with you. You know what I mean? But you're right. Is it natural because of the growth of the industry year over year, right? There's operators that are in the state that are adding more license types, adjusting their license types, learning from the last 5 years of the ebbs and flows. And we're seeing a lot more brand deals, right? And folks coming from different markets into the state, people that are, started in the state going and doing their thing. And there's also success story with in hope of a success story of just how all of the regulations are rolling out, right? And like adjustments that are being made specifically to the delivery operators in the last year, right? Our hopes and dreams of focusing in and getting social consumption passed. That's a huge project. And a lot of progress that has been made, but it's also been while all of this other shit is unraveling. Right. So
this progress is happening. The commissioners are listening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why shout out to the commissioners for listening and actually being proactive and getting some of this stuff done.
Definitely.
And again, the whole mess with former chairman, re-enabled Chairman O'Brien, for instance, like
that was incredibly respectful. You got it.
I was
yes.
I'm trying to be mindful of titles here, but like those things could just overshadow all the progress, right, that we're making on a daily basis, because we're making progress on a daily basis, and there's really good people out there that are doing the right thing.
Yes.
And I feel sometimes the CCC's got our backs, like we're doing it, and sometimes I feel like, do they want us to succeed? You know what I mean? I'm just like, are we fighting for nothing right now because we're putting so much effort into this?
And there's still barriers in place that just don't make much sense.
They don't make sense
at all.
I think I just want to add the price compression that's affecting both the wholesale market and the retail market is, I think, where we're seeing the ebbs and flows of companies leaving, companies joining as far as applications. And I think as we look at it in the development of what the cannabis plant is becoming, call it a commodity, call it whatever you want, what it's going to end up being. But I think the brand recognition and the development of like true, just identifiable brands is what's going to continue to force this industry forward. And as the applicants may not be increasing drastically, we're seeing a lot more people looking at the branding aspect of it. Look at tr.ee, for example.
Tr.ee.
A lot more of these companies are starting to do that and not having to go through the application process, but still able to develop a brand within this state and others under compliance and all this.
Yeah, people come to us all the time for co-packing.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how small we are. Like you're seeing some of these spaces around here and you're like, wow, you guys got tons of space. Our facility is 1,800 square feet. And I think 800 of it is production space. Like we are tiny. And so people are like, hey, can you make us a drink or something like that? I'm like, I can barely fit a pallet of bottles in my facility.
Right.
Excuse me. So from our perspective, we do want to see more brands come in. The way I've always told this to people is slapping a sticker on a Mylar bag doesn't make your brand.
No way.
That's not a thing. Like
it does, depending, like, you know, for one party or around the table or like, but you're right, is that it has to be much more intentional and it has to be driven to like, you got to know your people, you got to know your audience, you got to know your product, you got to know what sets you apart.
Yeah.
And that all comes from the individual. And that's what really sets brands.
And that's why tr.ee can be successful in this industry because that's a clear identity, right?
Authentic,
right? I just had Julio Vasquez on, right?
Yes.
Julio was talking about, you know, his ultra
premium gas, yes.
PG. Like that, he's like, I'm going to speak to the Latino community. And that's like clear brand definition.
Yes,
it's like, you get too many people coming in here and be like, I've got a pre-roll. It's called whatever. Green Rollers. I don't know. If there's a Green Rollers out there, I apologize for throwing your name under the bus. But like, it's just like, what does that stand for?
Yes.
It's just another pre-roll. And then it's price compression. It's like, how cheap can you make the pre-roll? Ultimately becomes the question if you don't have a strong brand.
Definitely.
Brand value, perceived value, all those things. A lot of those conversations happen at our company a lot. But I want to go back to that social consumption piece because you had just mentioned it. On the social consumption side, obviously changes are happening right now. Do you guys have some plans?
Of course.
We have some big hopes, big dreams, and some solid plans.
Fantastic.
In phase one, right?
In phase one.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike and I, we both plan to pursue license types with some of the partners that, you know, thank you. Yes. We're really, I think the most powerful piece of what we've been able to do this whole time around is bringing people together happens because of the plant. The plant is the unifier. So if we're having all of these other industry-facing events or moments when we're getting to talk directly to our consumers and our audience, then the one real, you know, sticky piece that's missing is being able to consume safely with regulations and with consistency and normalizing that throughout the state in all different facets of that. So when we're looking at social consumption, we're really jazzed up about the idea of doing just that, having authentic connections to events, experiences at all different levels.
Have you started like looking at spaces and all that stuff?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
You're in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah.
Like, this place would be so cute. We put a couch over there.
That's right.
Put some nice lights over here.
Well, in the last couple of years, we've been lucky enough that when we're navigating with licensees in the state, in Massachusetts specifically, we've hosted over a dozen social consumption events, right? Where there's regulated product there that we can all talk about offline about how, you know, but it's done compliantly, right? And but it's also jumping through hoops to make sure that the folks that are creating this product, growing it, manufacturing it, packaging it, dreaming about it in their kitchen, and then seeing it on the world stage, if you will.
Yep.
The only way that can happen is be able to mobilize and support the individuals that are doing that with regulations that allow people to consume, see, to touch, to feel it.
And I feel that's super important because I think, in order for us to even participate, because people ask us to go to these shows all the time, they ask us to participate in the awards and stuff like that and buy booths and all that other stuff.
Yes.
We don't pay for awards typically. We've never done it. Maybe we will in the future, something like that. But sometimes there's an award show and there's a bunch of other products in there that aren't licensed
products.
Yes.
And we're just like, how are we supposed to compete against like a 10,000 milligram juice or whatever it might be? It's just like, it's a different, it's a different, like they don't play by the same rules. So like, how is that even fair to an award show, right? It's just like, okay, we didn't win the award for the best juice or whatever it might be. Even though we don't make a juice, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I think when like looking at like the awards and kind of
competitions are really interesting. We
how those have evolved. I mean, the first event we really did public facing was Cultivators Cup. We partnered with the pharmacists, did Feud in Rhode Island, and then brought it to Massachusetts and started producing events around it as well. And that was really the start of the events for the Whittaker Group, truthfully.
Right.
But it was a lot of like, for us, it was more the behind the scenes, finding the folks that were going to join the competition, sponsorship, all those different aspects of it, and then the operations of the actual festival. But looking at how the competitions have evolved, there's a bunch of them now. They're all great. You're seeing more and more that are very industry focused and only industry focused, comparative to 4 or 5 years ago when it was a lot of those overflow of like, what are we actually judging here?
Yeah, and we talked about that already. It's like, you also do want to reach consumers too at the end of the day, right? Because if you see the same people and you're like, hey, you won the award last time and I won the award this time, and then you wanted to get, it's like, it's not quite, that's still also not appealing, right? Yeah. So there has to be the consumer focus on these as well.
I think there's a lot of, excuse me. Sorry, Jacob. My bad. There is a lot of value in the idea of a concept of judging in a competition. I love that. Like get some skin in the game, have a good competition, but it's also a full bias, and a subjective experience, right?
People are not going to be happy, and then someone's going to call each other out and be like, hey, this thing was rigged because I didn't win.
Right. But it you boil it all down, and if the concept or the goal is to share the product out and get the people's choice or get the people's favorite, or be able to just understand what people are, I think that's so dope. Like being able to talk directly to the consumer and asking them, but there's often something missing, which is the education. So if you're, you go and buy a pre-roll kit, I love a pre-roll kit, but I'm thinking of an average consumer who goes home and they're asking them like, what is this? What's the cure? Or how is it burning? Or what are the effects? And like, it smells good. It tasted good. It got me high. Yeah, but I think there's a link there that the whole end game is being able to educate the consumers and to let them kind of navigate or understand what sets all of those pre-rolls apart from one another.
But do consumers even?
I don't know if it's happening. I don't know. Because I think it's like I'm very likely it's the industry that's the ones that are judging. Yeah. And right now I think there's
to an extent,
there's space to go from
competition.
There. That's true.
Every competition is a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
If you're into cannabis, entrepreneurship, or just like hearing from people who actually build things, check out High Functioning. It's real talk with founders, operators, and big thinkers. No fluff, just game. New episodes drop every Friday, and you can subscribe and listen at highfunctioning.show. All right, let's get back to the show.
But that's the thing. Does it, everybody talks about education, and we're in a category that needs a ton of education. Because you're just like, I don't want this tincture. What's a tincture? That's from my grandma or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you get the apothecary.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about just like flour, right? Then it's like, okay, does it burn well? Does it taste good? And then does it get me high? Yes. Like if it nails all three, does the consumer even care at that point? So we talk about education, but not everybody is going to be like that wine snob or flour snob.
To an extent. I mean, when I look at the competitions, I think ultimately what it's now becoming is a marketing play. You're looking at a way to get your brand out there, and whether that's into more hands or when you win, you're now marketing the win and being able to play on that. So I think
your wholesale orders go through the roof. Exactly. It's like, I got the trophy, I got the gold, exactly, now. So now, and Julio actually shared a story about that. Yeah. He cornered the market on one specific, I think it was flour. I think it was flour, not concentrate. Yeah. And he just wiped out the whole thing before the cup happened. The cup happens and they get second place. And the guy was like, hey, can I give me some of that back? So
of course.
Yeah. There's some brands out there that kind of pop because of those things.
Definitely. Yes. But bragging rights come with, some weight for sure.
I think that's when looking at these competitions and kind of the attractiveness from a brand standpoint, that's what you're looking for, is that marketing push. If we do win, I can do this and that with it. And even not, it's getting it into the hands of however many kits are going out. So I think strategically, I think there's definitely an ROI benefit to it, but it's also dependent on the cup, who's actually involved. Are they selling the cups? Are we giving the cups? Are we picking who's actually judging?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, because there's also like entry fees, right? And, there's a little bit of a budget, of course, for an entry fee for a lot of brands out there that, there's successful brands, but everybody's hurting for cash too. So it's like, okay, Flower Expo is going to hurt me how many thousands of dollars? And then you got to go to NECAN in March, and it's just like how many thousands of dollars there? And you're spending all this money.
The investment of exposure,
just to get exposed. And, if you've got a good product, then it will work. But if you have a mediocre product, you're just blowing money at that point. So obviously it comes down to brand.
Great. I was going to say, there's folks out there that have this success that, are smart and strategic with their spending, but they're showing up and they're doing it in the way that is true to them. And I think those are the ones that stand out. I'm like, I'm back. Coming back to Turp Bay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's always good to shout out brands. We got Nudia. Nudia's back here as well.
Nudia happened to win NECAN Cup for best dispensary in Massachusetts.
I saw that. I was just at Fenway Park. I'm like, oh,
did you go in?
I didn't go in. I was with my family.
Oh, that's all right.
So
Have
I was
you
like,
been inside before?
No, because I don't ever get downtown. And Fenway is like parking and all kinds of crazy.
It's a full adventure.
I went to the Red Sox game with my family, and I wasn't going to tell them, like, hey, wait outside real quick. It was kind of like, my daughter was like, she's 8. She's like, oh my God, the Red Sox.
So cool.
But I have been meaning to go to the storefront.
True, yeah.
So I know Ross has worked really hard on that one. The, so looking at your plans, going for licenses, things like that, for social consumption, running this consulting group, also having an offshoot of like this party and all other, events kind of hold. Like, where do you see yourself in the next few years? Is it going to be like, because if social consumption just takes off for you guys, or the parties start taking off and it requires more of your time, do you just kind of drop consulting and be like, hey, this is where it's going right now?
To an extent. I mean, I think like the consulting at this point, we've kind of narrowed down our client list comparative to the project you were working on a few years ago.
Are you like, what's the split right now?
Right now, we're really just focused on Nudia. So we oversee their marketing communications for them.
Oh, okay.
And then we take like, not one-offs, but sporadic clients, depending on what the vision is, the goal is. A lot of it's event-facing now, or marketing-facing or content-facing. And from there, like, that allows us the, not freedom, but the somewhat time to be able to focus on some of these other projects that we're working towards. And as we kind of develop those other projects, bandwidth is always the biggest thing that we have conversations about. And
do you have like a team right now? Or is it just
definitely
a small and mighty team? That's right. Yeah.
How many people do you have?
About 6 of us, all part-time. No, well, it's for the year. I mean, we're
16 if you count.
That's right. We do have a full brand ambassador team as well that supports all of the initiatives at Nudia in Boston. So yeah, you're right. The numbers are going up. Like, how many of us?
So you have a brand ambassador team that's dedicated to Nudia.
That's right.
So Nudia is engaged in a way of like, hey, you're taking care of all of our like marketing, basically.
That's right.
We are their marketing.
Yeah, we've been working with them. They opened in July of 2023. We started working with them on a small project base in October of 2023. Did some pilots of just, understanding the behemoth of that space, right?
How can you have a skate?
That's right. That's right.
That's what I don't get still.
We've produced
12,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's 12,000 square feet. It's a cannabis mall in the middle of the entertainment district of Fenway. So there's, on any Tuesday afternoon, there may be 50,000 people walking by outside.
That's insane.
Right? There's a number of thousands of college of students that are in the area. There's the regulars and the neighbors that are in the area, but then there's the tourist market that are looking for, so that...
You're looking for interesting, fun things.
Exactly that. And
like,
Nudia does that, right?
Or something,
So the opportunity or the invitation that we got from Ross and the team at Nudia was to come, level up with how dope of a spot it was and the potential of all of the cool things that they were already doing, right? They recreated the idea of how a retail experience is supposed to be by their in-store engagements, the space, but also how people are interacting with the brands. They've got a dope station inside of the Cannabis Mall right now called the Gas Station, which is all wait to order, deli way, where you're looking at the best flower in the state. You're able to check it out. And just it doesn't get old seeing people come in there and be like, whoa,
what is this?
Yeah, what is this?
Definitely.
100 times a day, people are like, can you smoke in here? Because it looks so welcoming, right?
Yeah.
We've got a great gallery in there that's called the Black Walls Gallery, where we work directly with Als, who is our curator, an incredible artist, and a group of artists that use Nudia and the Black Walls Gallery as their residency. So every 6 to 7 weeks, we have a new group of artists come in.
That's fantastic.
They build up their space.
I love art like that.
It's incredible. We've got an award-winning podcast that calls Nudia home, the High Street team. They're in there every Wednesday producing live. They just won the Boston Music Award for Best Music Podcast.
Fantastic.
So everyone together is just leveling
I
up.
definitely saw some of those clips.
Yes, yeah, they're dope. And they work directly with a lot of the music scene. So the space itself calls for everybody, right? It's the consumers, it's the college students, it's the construction workers in the area, it's the healthcare workers, and then it's the tourists who are like, whoa, what's going on here? Right? And
This is
changing minds, it's starting the conversation, and there's just so much opportunity there, right there at Nudia, that just allows us to play in the playground. And the skating competition was skateboarding.
God,
We're about to host our
I didn't-
6th this year.
It's crazy. I can't believe
Yeah.
it's 12,000 square feet.
Massive.
Is there another place that you could recreate that magic? Or is it Fenway is just like...
I mean, there's something special about Lansdowne Street. You know, you walk out and it's just a crowd of people.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when there's not something going on in the neighborhood, it's slow and is what it is. But I think, like, as we look at House of Blues, the MGM Music Hall, and then Fenway, there's something usually happening at least at one of those venues every
Let's
week.
ask you about that. Like, is it cyclical? So wintertime, there's no
They
more
ramp
games.
up their concerts.
Concerts
though.
run across.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's college football that comes to Fenway. And then in the springtime before the game season starts, it's usually graduation and commencement. So Fenway is really, like, that whole area is really built up, and there's a lot of great initiatives happening. There's so many dope, like, cool pop-ups, different community orgs that are really doing their thing. And we're all together, working to make sure that Nudia is an active part of that, but also part of, like, the draw, right? Is that it is a destination for people to come through and check out, and that really doesn't get old. It's motivating.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
I remember seeing one of your clips. This is a Nudia, of course.
Yes.
One of your clips, and it was like, hey, college kids, like, get a penny pre-roll, or I was going to say free, but I don't know if it was free.
No, I think maybe it was like, hey, college kids, we're giving away 10,000 pre-rolls for a penny.
For a penny.
Each.
Like,
Something of the sort.
Did anybody get a phone call from the CCC being like, guys, like, what are you doing?
Well, the memo came out.
There was a memo.
There was in response to that then.
Somewhat. I mean, we don't know that for sure.
Kind of memo?
Yeah.
We're not. It hasn't been confirmed, and we're certainly not denying it. But we don't know in just a very interesting way, right? That there's opportunity to understand and perceive the regulations. There's no product being given away. But at the value of a penny, a penny is a penny.
Right.
Right.
So, and again, I think to myself, what? And this is something that Mike Lamy covered.
Shout out to Mike Lamy.
Who is like? How could someone else tell me how to price my own products at the end of the day?
Definitely.
If I want to sell
The value
something for a
of,
penny, I should be able to sell it for a penny.
That's right.
Definitely.
Or I would respectfully argue, if you wanted to gift a bunch of product because you know that there's value in getting that into the hands of folks and that it's going to build a return, then we really have to look at who's the one that's able to decide that.
Exactly. Because I don't know how many times that I tell people this all the time. I can't even get my own product. There, for the longest time, there's not a single store around here that would carry it. So I couldn't even go buy my own product. I'd have to drive like 20 miles to buy my own products at some point. So it's just super frustrating.
Yes.
Because it's like, we do QC occasionally just because, all right, we just, every batch you kind of pull some to the side. But that's literally for testing.
But that's also an adjustment based on where you started manufacturing a number of years ago, that at the time, your understanding is that you were batching it up and you had no right to actually tap into that product unless it was
under specific.
Unless, there was a,
well, so that's
a matrix that was sent to someone.
Exactly. So that's why it's like, But I hear from people all the time that, I'd love to try your product and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, now I gotta go find a store. I would love to, I would literally be the Ben and Jerry's. I'd be giving away pints all day.
Right.
I'd be like, hey, just try it.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm not giving it to an 18-year-old. I'm giving it to anybody who's of age. But I would love the opportunity to just to have a bunch of, we have a pocket. It's a little thing now called the Good Vibes Pocket. And it's 150 milligrams of liquid syrup. And I would love to just be like, hey, whatever mythical hero, like giving out candy or whatever.
Take this home, try it in
hey,
different
just
ways.
try it, because people are so scared of tinctures in a sense.
Yes.
They're just like, I don't get it. I don't want this old timey tincture. Sorry, old man. Where we're like, no, but there's real value in here. And actually, more importantly, we hear from tons of medical patients who are like, they love our product so much because it gives them a high dose and it hits what they need to hit. And we've gotten some crazy stories over the years from emails and voicemails, stuff like that, of people how they use it and they literally like they sold out. Where is it? I need this because I buy 6 bottles at a time, and I need this for my son who has XYZ thing.
Yeah.
I think that's where social consumption comes in. I mean, when we look at testing product in a compliant manner.
Ooh, I like that. So focus groups, maybe at a sensor.
Think Costco style, or you go to a bar and they're serving shots of whatever liquor companies there. Like, that happens.
You go to a package store.
Exactly.
I gave him our tequila shots the other day, and he's like, "You want some tequila?" And I'm like,
"Drive safe."
Exactly. Off your car.
Yeah, you can have a flight of this testing.
It's like the flight. Yeah, exactly.
It's a little.
It's like, try it in olive bars. Is a Rosado, is a Blanco, and
But that's it. That's like, all right. I go back to what we might change or suggest of a change in terms of like the process, right? And that's another barrier in place is one, the limits or the limitations of what you can do with your own product. Just point blank, period, right?
You're adults. Got it.
Exactly that. And when we start thinking about how this industry, which is, it is incredibly inspiring. There's a lot to learn. It's incredibly frustrating because we're building it or navigating it as it's been presented to us or as we've gotten to so far as we've progressed it together. But there's still so many barriers in place of how we can have a real successful product, brand, engagement with our audience. So sampling, spending and buying and purchasing limitations, milligram limitations at a recreational market, right? Like all of those things, when you zoom out, those, I hope that we'll be in a place where we can keep adjusting that, because with social consumption, it comes with that idea of like how people are consuming and in what manner, but what stops it from the Costco model of here, smoke a little bong with us before you buy an eighth.
So
we'll let you do a bowl pack.
Exactly. So I think, and the way it's written right now is you have to buy a fully sealed package. So for us, we were like, oh, we can't wait to make like mocktails, and then like people could be like a bartender and create beautiful drinks with our products. They're like, no, you can't do that. You have to buy this whole unit, untampered, and then open it and then consume it on premise. I think now they allow you to, like, especially if it's resealable, of course, to take it out, but you have to put it in an external, like another bag or something.
Another stapled, receipt.
So then you actually purchase the product and you can now leave with it. But like, so some of these things have changed a little bit, but we were really hoping that would be an opportunity to like do mocktails or something like that to highlight the product, and then they can go to the dispensary and buy the full product.
Exactly.
So taking a step kind of off the social consumption side, you obviously are covering with your consulting group a ton of things. The marketing component, just being at New Dia, it seems like it's working really well though. Like, would you ever consider, duplicating that model to other stores to be like, hey, we've got a winning formula here. Let's go try to make this work at somewhere other town.
Definitely.
See,
not necessarily
definitely
retail.
not.
Not necessarily retail.
What's that?
Not necessarily retail, but for some other brands and different companies that are not necessarily retail focused, that's where the event side of our business and assisting with the marketing at those events comes through. So a lot of like the packages that we do have content batching around them, as well as like the experiential push that we help with and assist with as far as like the design and concept of what your booth space looks like. And through that, that's kind of helped us not bridge a gap, but talk to more folks about the marketing aspect of it.
Experiential marketing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is something that we are currently working with a lot of other applicants or clients on. But as far as the retail side of it, there's nothing like Nudea. If you can find me something that is, maybe. But it's way too much fun.
Special, right?
Yeah.
So getting back to the event side then, like you're obviously those things are working. Do you have any events coming up?
We're in September.
September.
Yes. So a lot in Boston. At Nudea in the next month or so, we have gallery reception openings with our Black Walls Gallery. We're also hosting our 6th skateboarding competition inside of the Cannabis Mall with Not Finna and the Boston skate scene, which is so dope. That's out in November. And the next events that we'll be producing are in April. So in the last 2 years, right. We're in development right now.
Slowing down a little bit this year.
That's right.
Well, those budgets are tight regardless.
Of course.
Budgets are
Yes.
tight. But I think about with the event side, I always think about like this party, right? Or didn't you guys have like a Halloween one last year?
Yes, our masquerade, that party.
That party.
Yes. So the whole, right? So this party and that party, so dope.
Yeah.
You're on the list for next time around.
Yeah, thank you so much.
But something, that keeps us motivated and keeps us thinking outside the box is that it really depends on all the folks that are involved and what's inspiring us based around where we're hosting, when we're hosting, and who's going to be there, right? So we work with most often no more than 10 cannabis brands. They all have to make sure that there's like a moral clause that they line up with our own mission and values, making sure that we're actively amplifying brands that align with, our core values as a company. So those are most often folks that are aligned and making sure that they're working in the right direction.
Well, this was good. This is what I was going towards. So like, if you're talking about you need, 10 brands or so, that's kind of like, could you get away with 6 brands, or do you want to throw like another that party?
Yes.
Again,
Yeah.
Because it's very like right now. It's just very custom.
Yes.
Because it's like you have. Because I see the highlights.
Yes.
Like, oh my god, these parties must be amazing and stuff like this, and I can't wait to go to the next one. But I think about the masquerade party, that party. And I think to myself, like, oh, when's that coming up? But you're not doing it this year.
We're not doing it this year.
Was that because you were like, couldn't find the space, the sponsors didn't line up,
well,
the stars didn't align?
This year we've hosted 2 big parties. We hosted Frolic in the Park at Fenway during weekend.
That was huge.
Where we had we had about 700 folks come through, business leaders, thought leaders, real trailblazers in the space, and folks from all over the country that accepted our invite and came through for a really dope event. Non-consumption, but industry focused, right? Big success. And then in May, we did Party on Deck, which was dope.
Right.
And some historical context is that we were hosting in a new location in Marshfield, Mass. So the inspiration usually comes from our own desire to do something that's never been done before. And we do that with the support of the people that buy in and that accept the invite, right? And really get creative with us. And that's where the magic lies. But in May of this year, we were working in the town of Marshfield at a restaurant. We've got approval from the owners and operators of the restaurant to welcome our event in. We navigated the laws, understood the bylaws of the town, spoke with a lot of the law officials and the folks that regulate the town on our understanding of the law with the support of the owners of the restaurant. And within 24 hours of the event, they told the restaurant that they were at risk of losing their liquor license. That they would
1996 bylaw.
They found something.
Stated they can't do anything federally illegal under a pouring license.
Wow. And so they were like, you're going to get your liquor license taken away.
That's right.
How do you pivot from something like that?
Well,
magic.
With a whole lot of faith and a lot of stars aligned in the universe. We called the facility that we use in Kingston, Mass, which we had already successfully hosted.
Close, right?
Yes, about 20 minutes away. First, it was that phone call of calling the venue in Kingston that had opened their doors to us for 3 successful events with no incidents, and they gave us the A-OK. There was something where like they had a graduation party before that. We typically spend 2 days building the set, right? Bringing in walls, building up the stage, building tents, building activations, RVs, like, our sponsors often, and often our sponsors, they're uprooting their teams from different parts of the state and staying in the area for the weekend and are part of,
exactly,
major production, right? Yeah. For about 1,000 people to come together for a 7 to 8 hour event. So our first call was the facility. They gave us this green light with the caveat that we'd have an hour to load in. And then I called every single one of our 8 sponsors. And all of them were like, we're down. We'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Which was wild. Like,
that's community though.
It was, and just the catch up of like, okay, we're going to pause loading the U-Haul, and we have to focus on making sure that we're telling our ticket holders, who typically what we do with Party is there's a lot of mystery around it. We keep that intentional to have the element of surprise, but also create the mystique, right? It's like if you know, because that's how we engage the network. It's the bands that are playing. It's their people that have never been to a cannabis event before. You got to come to that party, and it's like it's the families of the people who own the companies that are sponsoring that are able to welcome their friends and families. So something rich happens there. But calling everybody and letting them know, hey, we're actually 2 towns over now. Show is on. You have to push it back.
That isn't what we're doing.
That's right. And letting these folks know that, like we had spent weeks doing on-site visits, planning what was going to be installed. All of that.
Was it on the water or something?
Yeah, beautiful. Yes. Yeah. Party on Deck was a facility surrounded by water, 3 different decks that were all consumption friendly. Lots of seafood, lots of food that was part of the environment changed how we were going to approach it. So a lot of it was, plans to supplement the raw bar with Beard and Blaze hot sauce, or Levia was supposed to be doing, consumption on tap. Yeah. And their team was still able to pivot and make something happen with us. And there were a number of folks that were just like, yeah, we got you. You let us know. And still came out. And it was incredible. But it was also a really good, way to assess how everything is going, where people are at, and where our own bandwidth is at for this year. So we're looking forward to next year in terms of.
I was going to say, did that kind of like burn your
somewhat, yeah. In planning ahead for the rest of the year, kind of, we had a lot of other projects that were still going on.
So you're kind of like, those are locked in, we'll do those, but let's pause on anything huge.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is that going to be another this party in April?
In April, we'll likely be hosting more to come. I'll give you the teaser of, but, NECAN is at the end of April, which it's typically in March. Yeah. We've been, longtime supporters of NECAN, activating, sponsoring, participating. And so we're at the drawing board with some creatives and some partners of how we'll hopefully host an event that's both for the industry, but also for consumers. That's more groundbreaking and development.
The part is, it's so underutilized still. And I know there's a lot of people that are like Todd Dunn from Kill is working really good on the consumer side of things. Take me through Morocco. What is that all about? I heard something about Morocco.
Morocco, yeah. Dima Maghrib. Morocco is incredible. Have you ever been?
No.
Wonderful.
Are you Moroccan?
I'm not. I'm an honorary with Alhamdulillah with blessings. Our business partner, Sarah Kohila, is our Moroccan queen. We all are longtime friends and family, and we have been building business for the better half of, I don't know how many years now. It all started in a parking lot in high school, a long, long time ago. But Sarah is Moroccan. She shares her Moroccan roots. And a number of years ago, we were invited out to visit the beautiful kingdom of Morocco, which is obviously has a lot of ancient roots connected to Beldia, the cannabis plant, and hash. And there's a lot lot there.
Moroccan hash.
Moroccan hash.
Heard of that before?
That has been, yes, that has a lot of history in the Reef Mountains and Katama. And so while the country and the kingdom itself is it's so beautiful. There's so much culture, so much to see. The hospitality is unreal. Yeah. And the hash is, with the right crowd, it's very much part of that. So we have spent a lot of time, we're very fortunate to have been invited in and invited out to see some farms and some cohorts of the cannabis infrastructure that's happening there. It's incredible.
It's unreal. I mean, there was an hour and a half drive through the Reef Mountains where to the left of you and the right of you was just naturally growing ruderalis single stock cannabis plants for miles.
That's insane.
An incredibly spiritual, beautiful, like mind altering, just seeing it provided and naturally growing and
just part of the lifestyle up in that region as well.
What is the Moroccan government take of it though?
So they've recently approved laws to legalize for export. So through,
but what about like not even export? Like it's just legal
for the
cultivation that's been happening for centuries.
Well, that's what I was saying.
So it's part of the community. It's kind of one of those.
Right. I will say
they look at the other way and just kind of have allowed it.
Right.
But still reprimand in certain aspects of it.
Okay.
But also,
maybe like smoking a joint on the street and then maybe
depends where you are.
Oh, I guess.
So different regions of the country, it's looked at differently.
Okay.
And then as far as like the global export of Moroccan hash that's existed for years, that has kind of always been a part of that culture. Similar to Humboldt, like that same feeling almost, where like the community itself is everybody's involved somehow. You see that
like is there like a Humboldt, like one section?
The region
area
of Katama. Yeah.
Yep.
Put that yes. Google Katama. Yes.
But through that, it's now the government is looking at it as an opportunity to create new business in the country. So infrastructure and licensing is now started. There's a number of different facilities that are up and running. The not problem, but the issue that they're having is they have a lot of product and not enough legal countries to export it to.
That makes sense.
There's no infrastructure for retail licensing or anything like that within the country yet. It's very much so grow it, send it.
Yeah. It's part of the crop and the culture that's been, doing its thing and thriving in that region of the country. And you can throughout.
With the export partners though, so other countries, like what's the closest country that you can export it to?
Probably Germany.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, there's a number of different
Germany isn't great, but that seems like it's across.
Morocco is directly underneath Spain.
This way.
Right. Exactly.
Spain and Portugal, right? So
but it's in Africa.
It is. Right, yeah, yes.
It's
geography.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Memorial.
It's a quick 7-hour flight right from New York to Casablanca. It's a gorgeous country. There's so much terrain, so much to look at, and the plant piece is really fascinating. We've been fortunate enough to come check it out and try it out ourselves and understand the different ins and outs. They make something called majoun, where it's the hash that's built into like a beautiful cookie with like nuts and honey and peanut butter. And that's kind of like, that's a consumption type. There's like the typical hash and a hash pipe type where you roll it in a spliff, excuse me. But we've been, building relationships there very fortunate to be able to do that.
Well, through Sarah, right?
Through Sarah.
So does she still have family there?
Yes, her family is there. She and I both serve on a K through 12 American Academy in Casablanca. We're both board members. So I've been given an incredible opportunity to share my background of education and operations in that, that path of my life, which is very rewarding. It's incredible. And there's just the nature of the country. There's the folks that, well, it's the hospitality, but it's also the folks that are working hard and are multi-hyphenate entrepreneurs, have their hands in a little bit of everything. It's you meet someone and their joy is introducing you to the next great person that you need to meet. So there's this kind of like pass on that has been really eye-opening to us, where we found ourselves in the fields just learning from the people that have been the ones that have been talking to their government. So just kind of polarizing and incredible that because of the plant, we've had that journey, and we've been so privileged to have that exposure and that cultural experience, which is just incredible.
More of that needs to happen here.
Yes. So part of that is, in our major inspiration in the last number of years, we've developed along with Sarah, a business partner, Moroccan Days, which is our import of Moroccan goods. So we have what started as an opportunity to bring some of the treasures that we saw over there here.
The ashtrays.
Right? Something that we saw over there. Yes.
So you
please.
This, and
that's for you.
Do a bag. Let's check this out real quick.
Sarah started bringing ashtrays over.
Explain this.
Yes. So these are Moroccan ashtrays that are handmade in Morocco. In fact, they're made by a cooperative that supports women-only businesses. All hand painted, all handcrafted, and the whole idea is that it's functional art. So you keep it in your spread space. It adds the beauty and the joy. Then when you ash your joint, your blunt, you put it in. It keeps it copacetic, if you will. But this was phase one of Moroccan Days, where a number of years ago, that was one of Sarah's pieces where it started in smaller shipments of. This was most of it, right? Like where we were able to connect with different dispensaries. They were selling these, a bit of the culture over here. And now we have furniture and spreads and textures and a lot of the treasures that we've seen over there as an inspiration to supplement the events that we're doing here. So really creating a meaningful environment and a space and a vibe that has the luxe and luxury of the textures and the beauty and the handmade craftsmanship. And that's just kind of taken off in this new adventure for us that's really dope.
The more I speak to people, because that is just such a gorgeous thing, the more I speak to people who have these passions, even outside of cannabis or even within cannabis, and they talk about how their flower and how they really curate it.
Yeah.
Whether they're like singing to it or whatever, I don't know. They don't have stuff now, but and they're also talking about all the textiles and stuff you can get from Morocco and importing them and putting them into the dispensaries and stuff like that. I feel the passion come from that, and it's super, super attractive in a sense that I want to roll up a joint right now and be like, let's just try this.
Right here, yeah.
And I don't even smoke, right?
You don't?
So that's my little... So you developed something off camera, and actually you and my daughter share something in common, my 13-year-old, in the fact that you never charge your phone.
Oh, sure.
I'm calling you out on
yes,
yeah. Right now. But you said, I think you're a smoker, so you gave me this thing, and I'm like, I wish I did. Like, I will take a puff or two.
Yeah.
I think that might be something that maybe we could enjoy off license, off camera kind of thing.
Yeah.
In a special setting. But I do get that passion, and I feel to myself, man, I just want to have a joint right now because I just getting so involved with the story. Right? What's up, that Moroccan hash?
Yes, yeah. It's the visceral experience. That's what connects people, right? Is there's a lot of the things, but it's comfort, it's curiosity, and it's the connection. I didn't mean to just do the CCCs, but it works. It works. Comfort,
shout out to the CCC.
Right?
Yeah.
Curiosity and connection. There's a new brand there that we can pull.
Definitely. This season. But Moroccan Days, is that and this is more my thing, but my wife and family probably can't stand me saying this all the time, but I'm like, do you have a cute little shop called Moroccan Days in like downtown wherever?
Yeah, well, not yet.
Right now we have a warehouse space.
That's right. We have a cute warehouse. Yes, yeah.
Right now we're in development of the ins and outs of the company.
And we do have some goods in Cambridge.
Yes.
Is that like some shops and pop-ups. Yes, yeah. Yeah, other folks that curate their collection to sell to their audience.
We will be popping up at the Freedom Rally in collaboration with the Chavit Corp. Shout out.
And being able to create that environment backstage for folks, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine just the textiles you might have.
That's exactly it. Creating a comfortable space for people to come together, kick it, but also lean into the luxury of it. Like not all consumption has to be outside in the parking lot.
Right, exactly.
It can be. There's a lot of magic there, but when we start thinking about how we bring people together, it's like make it cute, make it vibey, have some fun with it.
I love it.
Make it personalized.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
As we close to kind of wrap, any other last minute shout outs you want to give? I know there's a lot of people to shout out, obviously, but like anything that's coming up that you guys want people to pay attention to?
There's so many.
Obviously,
we can't just draw a blank with that.
Parabola Center in New York.
That's right. Are you familiar with the Parabola Center?
Yeah, that's I'm blanking on her name right now.
Shailene Title.
Thank you.
Lori Lucian, Chanel Lindsay, the incredible leaders and the founders of the Parabola Center. But it's also the Whittaker Group is a proud partner of Parabola Center. Excuse me. So they have a cohort of 100 plus small businesses owner operated businesses that are aligned in their mission to make sure that the cannabis industry is upheld with the proper equity and justice and space of building business for folks. So they have a number of different initiatives every year and different calls to action. And they're hosting a crash course in anti-monopoly of cannabis in New York this fall.
Yes.
Well,
I can't give you a date. I could give you a date if my phone wasn't dead. I'm ill prepared for that. But definitely plug into the Parabola Center, the work that they're doing, and the people that are supporting them, because the best thing to do is to align yourself with people that are aligned in focus, mission, and getting there together, working together.
Because it takes a group, really. It doesn't individuals help, but with a group, you can just go much faster.
Yeah. So none of us can do this alone. And
New York is going to be the second largest after probably California. Right?
New York is wild.
New York is good.
There's a lot right now. They're working through it, but there's a lot of people who are at their wits' end because of the confusion with regulation, and it's bonkers.
It's wild. I've heard stories.
Yeah. Right. Shout out to all the fearless leaders in the cannabis space, the risk takers. I'm looking right at the thing because I know that. Yeah, Jacob told me where. But that's my shout out. Endless shout outs. You know who you are. To all the people who commit to their dreams, commit to themselves, commit to their cause, their audience. That's it. I think
that's a great way to.
I think that's it.
Thank you so much for coming on, Jordan.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Good work. Keep it up. Thank you for inviting us out.
Thank you very much.
Seriously.